PGA Nation, we are back and we have made it to the Elite Eight. It has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun getting to this point. And one thing I'm super happy about, proud of to getting to this point in the tournament, Spence, is how it really does seem that the creme has kind of risen to the top. I mean, a lot of the top names, the higher seeds have lasted to the Elite Eight. And now we're getting some of the very best drafting against each other to get to the Final Four. It's been pretty smooth thus far. Spence, how are you doing tonight? And what do you think about the Elite Eight?
I am doing well, Joel. As you've said, you don't have to look any further than the two that we have on the screen right now that are leading off this show. There is a reason why I tried to get them at the end. Timing with them being on the East Coast and the Atlantic Coast, we had to move it up 30 minutes to make this work. But whether it's first or last, this is one of the star pairings of the night, and excited to be able to get both of you guys on to draft. And Tambo, I have to tell you this, like I appreciate you doing it. I did Mayo's show today. It was the first time that I'd ever done Mayo's show. And I know that I filled in for you with a little bit of what I know you and Blick will go back and forth with all the DFS stuff. So I know you're a busy man. I know, and we'll talk about it as the show goes on. I'm excited to see you next week out in Vegas. But actually, I'll kick it to you right now before we even start. Do you want to tell everybody what you have going on next week?
Yeah, of course. Many of you guys know James, the Degenerate 75. If you don't, you missed out on a one of one. A good guy. He battled stage 4 colon cancer for about 15 months and then sadly passed away last year. So we put together a fundraiser, a GoFundMe. We talked with his family. We got everybody over at Ship It Nation involved, and then tons from outside in the DFS community and just the fantasy sports community in general to raise enough money that we could do some different things. And so we donated over $10,000 to certain causes that he wanted to put money towards. And then with the remaining 20,000 plus, we wanted to host an event, talk with his mom and his family about this. They wanted something that could sort of live on or, help remember James in a better way. So we've put on what's called, or going to be called, the Big Guy event. It's going to be at Circa. It's at the D, actually, their sister, but we're all staying at Circa. We'll be there hanging out, but it's going to be next Friday night, August 21st, 7:30 to 10:30 at the D. We've rented out the 12th floor ballroom, the Detroit ballroom there. We've got a ton of people coming out. I think right now just under 100. So it's, there's going to be enough people there. And then others that when we get there, I'm sure will show up. There's a watch party. There's a bit of a, celebration of life in the beginning. There's drinks, appetizers, you name it. Should be a lot of fun, but excited to see you there, Spence. And obviously just want to say thank you to anybody who supported any way they could. If you go to shipitnation.com/the-big-guy-event, it's a long one. You could just DM me. But if you go there, you can get all the details, or you can hit me up if you want to help out in any other way, or if you want to make plans to come out. So thanks for letting me share that.
Of course, I will add that link to the bottom of this episode after we get finished for anybody who's curious also. So, thank you, Tambo, for everything that you do. As you said, James was a one-of-one guy, and I look forward to be able to see you next week and celebrate his life with you.
Yeah, man. Can't wait.
Oh, I mean, just an awesome event that you're throwing and putting on. And if you follow along, if you watch our show, you notice it's a really cool community that we are in, this betting and DFS world with golf. And, the people that draft on our show are coming from all different websites and different backgrounds and coming together, and everyone feels like a team, right? Even like we were able to do this and coordinate everyone's schedule. Everyone's doing shows and different events and have a million things. And we've had very few hiccups with being able to get this to go off and people getting here and showing up and doing their part. And that goes to show what a great community is. And that starts from the top with people like you, Tambo, doing stuff like you're doing. We're throwing these events. I mean, it's not easy to do what you're doing and to get everyone together and to celebrate James's life. But the fact that you're able to do this event and throw it off and have so many people show up and have that turnout, it just shows to the community that's been built in this world. You don't really get much from doing that. You just do it because it's the right thing to do. And right. It makes it a really good thing. And so I think that's what keeps this community alive, keeps everyone kind of working together. And thank you for being able to foster that and leading from the front. So it's going to be awesome. If you're going to be around, if you're in Vegas, definitely attend. It will certainly be worth it. But we do have a fun draft for you guys tonight, so we'll continue the Elite Eight. Tambo, obviously you will be drafting one team, but your opponent from Tour Picks, Joe, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Shout out Big Guy. You're awesome, Tambo, for putting that on. Pre-game butterflies for me right now, like a little bit nervous going up against like a one-of-one Mount Rushmore. When people ask me like who is the best fantasy golf person to follow, no bullshit, I say toe tag and Tambo. Not only does he do it on the content end, but he's produces results. Just follow his feed. So I got a tall task for me tonight. I'm gonna have to perform my absolute best and probably fire a 59 in the golf sense to win this thing, but I'm ready to try my damnedest.
All right. Well, we have the wheel to pull up. We got to decide who is going to be picking first tonight as we spin the wheel. We'll start with you, Tembo. Where do you want to be picking?
I want to ask Joe, what do you want to draft, Joe? First or second?
Second.
Are you going to give it to him?
I got the whole wheel.
See what it says. What's it say?
Tembo, you won, so you get the pick.
All right, I'm gonna go first.
Boom. All right. It ended up as you guys wanted. Tambo's first. Joe, you will be going second. As anyone knows, in case you're new to the show today, a quick reminder of what we're doing. We're in the Elite Eight of Golf Madness. We started with a field, what was it, 38 to begin after play-ins. We are now down to 8. There will be a champion at the Tour Championship. We have 4 head-to-head drafts tonight. Within the snake draft, it goes 1, and then like your typical fantasy football draft, it's a snake, so it goes, Joe will have 2 in a row, then Tambo will get 2, back and forth. You do have to actually afford your salary on DraftKings. So you can't just take all the best players. You actually have to be able to afford your lineup and play it in a DraftKings tournament. Audience, if you have any questions as you follow on, get in the chat, ask your questions. We'll try to address every question that comes through, ask the experts, ask what they're thinking, so we can get through it. But Tambo, without further ado, with the first overall pick, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I know what people are thinking, but it's going to be different. But also, Joe, I appreciate the nice comments. I got your notifications on, buddy, so I already see your Aaron Rye pick coming later on.
Damn,
So,
was that too soon?
too soon, man. Too soon. You got a strategist over here, man. You know, I'm looking at all angles. I seen your little Russell Henley love. I seen all that. But the thing is, this week's interesting. Scheffler is definitely affordable, and there's a ton of options down below. So, you know, Joe may want to go that route. I'm actually not going to go up top. I'm going to give myself options here. And since I only get 1 before he gets 2, I'm going to take very underpriced for this type of tournament off the board. Justin Thomas, 8,100. I want to get that one.
Now, I like Justin Thomas. I'm surprised he's the first pick. I like it. I'm curious to hear from you, Joe. Would Thomas have been one of your first 2 selections if you were given the opportunity?
I mean, not outright to win at like 34-1, but I see the reasons why. I think that he's fed up nicely into this event. I think that he has a ton to play for. He has historical good course history here. And, you know, when I was just kind of doing some of my research before this, I see the projected points out of Justin Thomas down there at $8,100, and it's pretty high from pretty much every spot that I checked. So not surprised to see a sharp pick taken by Tambo. And since we don't have to worry about ownership really in this type of contest, just go ahead and take him off the board at 1. Solid choice.
Boom. All right. Justin Thomas off the board. Now you'll get you get 2 in a row here. So you get the 2 guys that you wanted. How are you going to start off your draft?
I mean, I got to take Aaron Rye because I feel like if Tambo liked him at all, he's just going to snag him from me based on I was probably too soon to tweet. But let's ride. I just think that I have a profile that I'm pretty confident in TPC Southwind, and that's positional accurate players. We're in year 2 of the renovation. I thought year 1 last year was not a great sampling because they had like historic levels of rain, which gave them challenges leading up into the event, which I think caused them to slow the greens down. So I actually think we see firmer conditions this year, which I think increases the importance of ball striking, playing from the fairway into these smaller greens. I'm going to take Aaron Rye. Nice bounce back last week with the putter, which I needed to see from Aaron Rye on Bermuda. So I'm going to go there and grab my cheap guy off the board early.
6,800, Aaron Rye with your first pick, which I think is interesting because most of our drafts have started at the top of the board. This draft is starting with value, which I think is a good strategy often, but we'll see what you do here with your second pick.
Give me Patrick Cantlay, 8,800. I think there's a good bit of upside there. Again, like Thomas, I think that he's trending in the right direction at the right time with a lot to play for this week. I'm going to take him and what I feel like is a price point that I'm comfortable with under that 9K threshold for Cantlay.
So I'm going to say something here before we even talk about these picks. You know, Tambo's an all-around good guy. We've talked about what he's doing next week. Joe, you mentioned what pick you want to be. He gives you the second pick. He sees Aaron Rye. He doesn't take the selection. Byron is one of my best friends in this entire community. I don't know what Byron is doing right now. He's writing into the group chat that he's in with Millie Goats, telling him that the show's been moved to tomorrow. Like, it's about the exact opposite of what Tambo's actually putting together by being the good guy on this show. Byron's trying to be the Joker over there to get himself a DQ victory over to the next round. As far as the picks that Joe just made, like Patrick Cantlay a ton, I think anybody who's ever listened to me knows that. I think Aaron Wright does have one of the best upsides on the board. And if we go to the Tambo pick with Justin Thomas, you know, I'll leave it nameless because I don't want to influence the draft. But if you look at Justin Thomas versus every single person in this entire space that he is matched up against, he is a massive favorite across the board. I think we've seen this historically with him at similar tests. I think Justin Thomas is one of the savvier routes to start. I think we have three good picks here to start. And Tambo, as I kick it to you to give us the next two selections here, I will ask you this. Were you considering Aaron Rye if he had fallen to you, or was that kind of just tongue-in-cheek with it? Thoughts about Patrick Cantlay, and then give us your next two picks.
It was all strategic. I'm not as nice as you think, but I did not want Aaron Rye. I wanted Joe to take Aaron Rye, and I also wanted him to take Aaron Rye in hopes that he would take Scotty Scheffler because I did not want Scotty. I did not want a Scotty build. It's nothing against Scotty. I think it's a great week for him. It's a great spot. Everybody knows the stats. It's the number one golfer in the world. You can look him up. Everything I do is strategic to building the lineup. I don't really care about the picks and the plays like I talk about all the time. It's a process piece. In the end, they matter, but the results are a product of your process. So I'm just building it out to give myself optionality. Joe kind of went right in the zone I was looking, but I'm ready with my next two, and it may surprise people, but I don't know, that guy, what's his name? Fry 5. He got surprised last week when he went against me and I won by, I think, 150 and beat everybody. So I don't know. We'll see if I can continue that, but he bet against me again. So I took that shit personally. Now we'll dial in.
That's like the Michael Jordan quote when he said, you don't want to cross Tambo when it comes to DFS drafting. Okay.
I want to see if I can get this done. So I'm going to go up the middle here. I'm going to go with Victor Hovland next. And then right after him, I'm going to lock another 8K. I'm going to lock in Siwoo Kim.
I love the way you're building this lineup. I prefer a more balanced approach this week than a stars and scrubs. I mean, if you really can call it stars and scrubs in a 70-man field. But I like kind of filling up your roster with some of these guys who I think have plenty of upside in this field in the kind of mid 8K range. So you certainly are doing that here with your start. All the guys you have so far are in the 30 to 40 to win range as well. Really solid start. And all three guys you've drafted are guys that I definitely have in my player pool. I want on my radar. Spence, I would love to hear from you. How did your model like Siwoo Kim and Victor Hovland this week? Obviously, we know you always love Siwoo Kim. So I guess maybe the question is really on Victor Hovland.
I like both of them. I should probably learn better. This Siwoo Kim shtick has gone a really long way with me saying he's going to win every single week, and we're yet to get there during the season. I believe he has 10 top 10 finishes, though, and for DraftKings and for this sort of contest, he plays really nicely. Pat asked me on the show today, who's my favorite play on the board? Very naturally, I said Siwoo Kim. That's almost a very generic answer that you could get from me for most weeks. But if you want to talk about a tournament historically, Will Zalatoris, Lucas Glover, Hideki Matsuyama. There's all these names that have won being some of the bottom end putters on tour. This is the Siwoo Kim recipe. Can't make a putt, but ball strike better than anybody else. I gave this stat out on the action show. 70% of the winners over the last 15 or so iterations of this tournament have led the field over 4 rounds in strokes gained tee to green. That kind of shows the de-emphasis that you get with the putter here. Scotty Scheffler, number one player, if you look at the stroke gain tee to green, just in like a vacuum situation of that. Number two on tour in my model is Siwoo Kim. So, look, I mean, this might be contrarian in the sense that like I continue to bet him outright, and I took him again at 35-1. We want to just take like the more simplistic answer for DraftKings. I think this is one of the best plays on the board. And I was actually going to ask you, Tambo, is this strategic or is this mind games that you're playing? I think it's interesting at the very end of this of trying to bait Joe into taking Scotty Scheffler, and it's not done yet. I mean, technically, he can still fit Scotty Scheffler into a build, and I don't know where Joe's going to go, but you get an opportunity here to either take Scheffler and kind of throw it back in Tambo's face or go in a different route with these next two picks.
He's put me in an absolute pretzel, Spence. Playing chess, baiting me into the Aaron Rai first round pick was classic there. I'm not going to take Scheffler. Same with him. I just don't see, even with the guys that I have, even taking Aaron Rai, if I grab him here, that puts me like under 7K remaining for my last three guys. And I think that's too tough to overcome. No interest for me this week in Rory McIlroy, who we see back playing on the PGA Tour for the first time in a long time. I'm going to take Xander, 10K on the nose, coming off a tee, coming off a solo second. He's doing it off the tee. He's doing an approach. He's just not really threatening to win at this ratio, but we'll see if we can get it this week. And then I'm going to go down to, let me make sure I get the price point right. I'm going to go to $8,200 and take the young superstar Jackson Koivin. Xander, Koivin, picks 3 and 4 for me.
And you still have 8,100 per pick left, leaving you both in a very similar range for these last 5 picks in this draft, which I think is interesting. I guess, Rai and Xander kind of help you balance out, which kind of leaves everyone in this kind of same mid 8K tier. So since you are in the same place, you guys are going to have to get creative because I'm sure, you can't, a lot of the 8K range is already being taken up here. So how you guys finish this will be interesting. All right, Tambo, you got 2 here. And I guess before you go, I'd love to hear your take on Joe's last 2 picks.
Yeah, I really like both of them. I actually like Xander and Fleetwood, so I like the first 2 that he skipped there with Scotty and Rory, and either of those I think was fine, made sense for his roster construction. And then Koivin, I mean, obviously, what can you say about this guy? This guy's incredible. We're going to be talking about him. I think he's going to be a lot more expensive than 8,200 as the weeks go on. I know it's kind of end of the year type of thing, and people were, last week on the cut line to get into the FedEx Cup and the playoffs and tying Tiger, and I get all that stuff gets stretched quite a bit because, well, it's a factual truth that like in the same starts he gets in, then people are like comparing him. But obviously, getting that win, I was at it live. It was incredible. What a rush to be there. But we know this guy is going to be a lot more expensive moving forward. So 8,200 is just a steal for Koivin. And I like that. I'm in the 8K range quite a bit, but the way I started is where I'm going to keep going with it. So I got my next 2 picks ready if you're ready.
Let's do it.
I'm going to take another. Actually, I'm going to go the other guy first just because I know I'm going to double check something, but I'm definitely taking this guy. I'm going to take Sam Burns at 9,500. That's kind of where I was dropping down to next. I don't want to go up to Fleetwood because of where it will land me. And I don't really want, I actually like Xander better than Fleetwood anyway. So Joe took him, not really heavy on fits, and Cam Young's fine, but I really prefer Sam Burns in this spot. So I'm going to take him for $200 less.
That makes sense. I love Sam Burns. He's been playing. I'm curious to see, not that it matters for this contest, but more just for the week and big picture, what kind of ownership Burns will get. I don't think it'll be that high because, if you play Burns, it's hard to get up, to the ceiling plays as well. And I think a compressed ownership Sam Burns is someone I really am interested in this week.
Damn, I'm kind of torn now. I got like 2 thoughts, so just give me a second.
Take your time while we wait.
I'll take it really quickly. I actually think, and as you said, it doesn't matter for this contest. I think Sam Burns is going to be very popular this week. I think people are going to try to land in that general zone of what he brings to the mix. I currently see him over 20%. He is the second highest owned player on the board on my initial projections as of Tuesday night. There's a lot to like about him. Number 3 in my model over the last 24 rounds in strokes gained tee to green. If you want to talk about that tee to green output that we keep mentioning. And then number one expected putter. He kind of has that upside with the putter that a lot of these big names don't. So I think the pick makes sense there from Burns.
Man. All right, I'm going to do this. I got two options here. I'm going to go with I don't know. I feel like part of this, because obviously we're down to the Elite Eight. There's a lot of really good players. It's just me and Joe in this one, but obviously that's two really good players going up against each other. And it's like we both have a good lineup already. So I'm going to take a little bit more risk, I think. So I'm going to take Wyndham Clark.
10 seconds on why you're taking Clark this week.
It's really just how the lineup finishes. I had two combinations here. Maybe I'll let Joe go, and then I'll say what the other one was. I don't want to give the other picks out, but I'll tell the other the 2v2, and then the chat, or you guys can comment on it. But this leaves me Aaron Rye money, which Aaron Rye's off the board. So, it kind of brings things full circle, but I'm good with where I'm at right now.
As you said, Rye is not an option because Joe started with the 102 with Aaron Rye. You're going to be able to make your last two picks here, Joe, to round out your build. You have 8,100 per pick. Where are you going with the first selection?
Yeah, looking at our lineups, I feel like we both have a very similar sort of balanced strategy. He's got 6,800 left. Coincidentally, that's exactly who I was targeting in this range. I'm going to take Alex Fitzpatrick. I don't know if that was your guy, Tambo. It probably wasn't, because I don't think as well as you do. But when I look at Fitz, like, it just the course fit, right? Like that place in India that he won is an absolute nightmare if you can't hit fairways. When even in, you can draw some lineage to Zurich there in the water-laden course, but you look at spots like Travelers and positional courses and Doral that has a lot of water, and Bermuda, like these are where he's played his best because he typically does a good job of hitting it fairly straight, and he's a pretty good ball striker from that point. So I'm going to take him at 6,800. And then what do I have left? I've got 9,400 left. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm torn between two options here. I've been really high on Hideki Matsuyama, but God, he's played like 6 weeks in a row. And I think looking at my lineup, I've taken a pretty clear path in terms of the archetype of player that I'm looking for and guys that thrive in driving accuracy type venues. So I'm going to take Colin Morikawa. I realize the risk is there. He's interesting for me with Morikawa is that he's this guy that is kind of so good that he's stuck playing all these signature events that really aren't the best course fits on the PGA Tour for his game. But when you look at the spots that he does really well at, Arnold Palmer, the Travelers Championship, RBC Heritage, when he goes to those signature courses that really put an added emphasis and priority on accuracy, he performs really well. When he goes to the places that prioritize and emphasize distance and power, like most of the signature fields he's up against, he's struggled a little bit. So there's risk there. I'm really not a Morikawa guy in general, but I feel like he fits the continuity of this roster that I put together. So that rounds it out for me.
Boom. Solid looking squad. I wouldn't call it stars and scrub. It still looks a little bit more balanced to me, but I like every player that you've taken, especially for a head-to-head type matchup. Tim, my question for you is, if you were given the opportunity, which you're not, but if you were given the opportunity, would you have taken Rye or Fitzpatrick here, or is the guy you're going to take the guy you would have wanted either way?
The guy that I would have wanted either way is still there, but I'm very shocked. A couple things. One, that Joe did the extra 6,800, and then just from the flip side of that, like this is a head-to-head, so it doesn't really matter. But for those playing in their portfolio, MME stuff, all of that, even your hand builds, your single entries that people are playing out there, it's very rare that you'll see a lineup this week that has Rye, Fitzpatrick, and doesn't have Scotty or Rory. So that's another thing that just a way that people always say, like, oh, when people are talking about someone else's single entry, like he took both the chalk guys at 6,800, but it's not who you play, it's how you play them, as I always preach. And it's like that's a big difference. If you look this week, how many people that even have one of those, if not two, that have Scotty Scheffler in it or Rory or someone up top, it's going to be a lot more than the way Joe built it. So it's a pretty strong build overall. I was setting it up perfectly for my guy or Alex Fitzpatrick. I just did not think Joe was going to take my guy. It was just surprising he still went pretty close to the area there. But everybody knows my favorite golfer and my Korean brother, Kenny Kim's bloodline. We got to go with Sung Jae. Sung Jae in down at the bottom at 6,700. Leave 100 for good luck on top. The AI will hate this, I'm sure, Spence, but that's been in my favor. Every week the AI says it's dust. It comes out and gets the job done. So I'm good with this squad. I think Rye, Fitzpatrick, both are very solid options there. But again, good news is neither of them are on the board for me, and I wanted my guys. So I'm nervous, just so you know what I was hinting at earlier, between Clark and Sung Jae. And I could kick myself for this later, but I kind of liked Spawn and Thor for the same money.
A lot of good value plays.
I think it was affordable. I got to go double check my math, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Considering this is the playoffs, every player in the field is a good, competent golfer. There's also no cut. So I think this plays a little differently than your normal week because you're getting 4 days, and even the bottom of the field are guys who are one of the top of the field in weaker events, right? Obviously, this is a stronger event, but you don't get a lot of duds in this field. My one question for you guys before we wrap up this draft, you both left 100 on the table, which is, nothing, right? Obviously. But because of the nature of a shortened field, no cut event, does that change your typical rule where will you leave less on the table because of how this field is, or do you feel comfortable still leaving maybe $500 or $1,000 not being used in a lineup?
Yeah, I'll leave like 300 to 500 still, like in a regular, just building my lineups out, just no problem. But typically, and my guy Alex Blickel and I, we do a show together, Leverage Lane, every week. He's away this week, so no show this week, but he's done a ton of research and analytics in the back end. And 49.5 is kind of like the cutoff. You just don't need to leave more than that. In Showdown, it's a different game for sure. You can leave a lot more on the table. And I know, Joel, you got a ton of success in the Showdown streets. So I don't need to tell you nothing, but just to say it, like that's a spot where I think some people are confused. But if you have like a weather advantage in Showdown and you've got the AM guys and there's only 2 9K plus guys in the morning, it's like clearly you can leave a couple thousand, 3,000. Like it really doesn't matter. And no one will really do it that much. But that's where you see people take advantage in those large field tournaments. For the main slate classic, even with the shortened field, I just don't see the need to go much more beyond $500 on the table. So I'm good with 100 to 500, no problem.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I'm aligned with you on that, especially for a field like this this week. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'll defer to Tambo on that. I mean, he's got a lot more expertise in this area than me. I typically, when I do build lineups, don't go the full 50K. So I feel good about the lucky $100. We both felt right at 49.9. So excited to kind of see how it plays out this week. I feel like we have two very different types of players in our lineup. So if the course ends up playing one way or it suits one style better, one of us are probably going to end up running away with this thing. I feel like.
Agreed.
Well, it's certainly going to be an electric matchup. I am looking forward to following along. Two absolute legends in the space battling it out. We thank you both for your time. I wish you luck moving forward. Before we get you guys out of here, we'll start with you, Tambo. Please tell everyone where they can find you this week and what is your favorite bet of the week?
Bet of the week. I would be the worst. I'm going to defer to Joe for that. I'll just double down and tail him. He's got a bunch of good ones out there, but I'll say you can find me on X at Totag and Tambo. You can find me at Ship It Nation. We got a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of things just around the corner with NFL, and then a ton going into the new season. And then golf is coming back sooner than we know it, as people know how the swing season works and whatnot. We cover it year round. And then you can find all my strategy stuff. If you want to, you'll get better at DFS. DFSmastermind.com is just another spot you can check out.
Boom. How about you, Joe? What's your favorite bet of the week and where can we find you?
Yeah, I put it out earlier today. Aaron Rye, 80 to 1. I love the course fit for Aaron Rye. He had struggled this summer with the putter, and I felt like he got things going back in the right direction last week, being back on Bermuda grass, which is huge for him. I think it's a great course fit. He's won in the South. He's won at Sedgefield. He's won at Wyndham. He's a major champion this year. I just feel like the price there is a little disrespectful and too high. So that's my favorite bet of the week. In terms of where you can find me, I host the Preferred Lines podcast. We've been releasing episodes every Sunday night, trying to get out there in the market a little bit early for the good people who follow golf content. That's up right now and will be each and every week. I do a weekly article and a power rankings piece for Golf Digest that is typically up on Mondays. As always, all of my content is powered by the Read the Line network and team. Keith Stewart does an amazing job of being on site and providing avenues for people who love golf and have a passion for it, like myself, like John Hasselbauer, to have a spot to dish out some hot takes. So appreciate you guys for having me on. As always, wish you all the best. Good luck, Tambo, and enjoy that event for the big guy. That sounds absolutely awesome. I hope you see my guy Scott Blumstein there. If you do, tell him I said what's up.
I will for sure. I think he'll be there. There's a couple guys, like I said, that are already out in Vegas all the time, so they should be there. But I did get to do a little what's the like pop stroke? Is that the place we went to? Yeah, we went to that in Arizona, and I went with him for that. He's a really good putter, but that happens to be my specialty as well. I have nothing else in the bag but a putter, and that's this classic sign of a horrible golfer, but at least I admit it. So I also remember too, now I am going for back-to-back weeks of taking down the host of the preferred lines. So that's a little inside nugget we didn't think of for this one, but good luck to you, Joe. Always appreciate you and everything you do, man. And people talk about like a good community and all that stuff. Like Joel mentioned, Joe and I originally met back in the day at the DFS Open too. So, you know, those that don't know about that, it's been like a crazy thing, just a long stretch of events and get-togethers and all that type of stuff. Just a wild community to be a part of, and it's one I'm thankful to be a part of. So appreciate you guys.
I love it. Small world, great people. We wish you both good luck. One of you will be back for the Final Four. Good luck, fellas.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
We just had, but we got another one coming right up, Spence. So tell everyone who is coming up next.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this matchup between Ben and Kyle. Two of the better drafters so far in this. Like, Rasa has been, you know, dominating. It feels like the competition. I talked to Pat about this earlier on the show, and he came out of the group that was kind of a gauntlet group there, where I ran numbers for whatever this is worth of like who were the luckiest people and who were the unluckiest people so far in this contest. And the unluckiest person was Alex Blickel, which shows of how strong of a group that Rasa put together with him and Custon, the way that they put it together. So I think this is a highly touted matchup. I think it's going to be fun to watch these two against each other, and let's get this started.
All right. Another head-to-head draft. Before we dive off, I actually want to start by asking you guys, and we'll start with you, Ben. What do you think of the draft before? I have this draft up on the screen. Which lineup of the two would you take?
All right, let's take a look. I kind of like, I went with the strategy a little last week. It's a little different. We'll talk about it, but I like the kind of balanced build that Tambo's got going on. It's pretty suppressed. He's got one cheapie with Sanjay, but I kind of like peppering that mid-range. You build a lot of stability that way.
Boom. All right. Tambo is your pick. Kyle, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I like both squads. I think both teams have a couple of guys that I'm certainly eyeing. I think I'm gonna be with Ben here. I think the kind of the balanced build, but with a good amount of upside as well. I think, you know, all these guys, maybe outside of Sungjae, have pretty sizable win equity this week. So I think I'll side with Tambo slightly, but I do like the way Joe rounded out his squad as well.
Both drafters siding with Tambo. I wonder if that's telling on how this next draft will go. Well, let me clear the draft board and we will get started. We do have a new draft coming up. Let's start fresh, get the wheel going, and let's start with the spin. Ben, did you raise your hand or was that? No, I just missed it. Never mind. We had a question.
I'm just flailing around.
Well, Ben, you're going to have the choice. Do you want to pick first or second?
I'll do it. I might as well go with the same strategy. I picked first last time. I'll pick first this time, and I'll take Hideki. He wasn't my first pick, I don't think, last time. He was on the team, but he's going to be my first pick here. A lot of flexibility. He's not too expensive. I think he can handle the course. I've been playing him, so I'm not going to stop now.
What I find interesting is Hideki went undrafted on the last draft, and now is the first pick in this draft. He was mentioned last draft, but he did not get taken. So I do find that interesting. I think it goes to show you there's a lot of different routes that you can take this week. But I like the pick as well. Hideki has been playing great, especially I really like Hideki for the head-to-head format. I think he's a pretty safe pick as well. All right, Kyle, you got 2. Would you have considered Hideki with one of your first 2 picks? And if not, or if so, either way, who are they going to be?
Yeah, he definitely would have been considered. I think that it's a pretty tight group here. On the Action podcast before this, a couple hours ago, I gave out Hideki as an outright pick this week, so I certainly love Hideki. But I do think that this format specifically, kind of, you have to sort of leave yourself some flexibility with obviously even having Scotty on the board as well. So I don't know if I would have gone Hideki first, but he certainly would have been in the options, and obviously I like him enough to bet him outright this week, so I do like the pick there.
Oh, all right. Well, Hideki off the board, Kyle. You now have your first 2. What direction are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to take Sam Burns to start. He was my other outright pick that I gave out on that show earlier. Love Sam Burns this week. Obviously had some heartbreak with him at the Open Championship, where I think he kind of gave that one away. I think he probably could have done himself a little bit better of a service there on Sunday and walked away with a win there and a major title. But I'm going to go Sam Burns first, and I'm going to come back with Jackson Koiven. So 2 non-unique picks. Both guys were picked in the first draft, but I like Koiven a lot for this course. I think he sets up really well. I mean, he's been on record a couple times talking about he's not necessarily the longest guy off the tee. I think young guys coming up, you sort of expect that out of him, but his approach play is just so good. I think he will fit well for this course, so I'll take Koiven second.
Koiven and Burns off the board.
Kyle, I'm going to tell you this. Like, I knew Hideki was somebody that you were considering, and I don't say this for any particular reason, but we talked about it off air a little bit. I know during the last round, all of your picks were picked by every single person, and we've started that so far here. So either you're a trendsetter or, you know, some of these picks are going to end up getting duped here. But I like both of your picks. I think Koiven is kind of a little bit underrated, and Burns certainly – with the recent tee to green production to add with the putter, there's a lot to like with him. So Burns and Koiven to Kyle. Ben started with Hideki Matsuyama. You're going to have 2 here with your next picks. Before you give them to us, I don't want you to talk too much about strategy, but the one thing I'm going to say is you, Tambo, and Farnsworth have every single show talked about a certain mindset of a build being very consistent across the board and flat. And you 3 are here. Like, that's not the route I took. I played a no-cut tournament, and I broke Sepp Straka and watched him shoot 40 over par and him out of the tournament. We talked last time about Patrick Cantlay being a name, unfortunately, that ended up burning me. And didn't burn you, though, Ben. You ended up having success with him. You got 2 picks here. Where do you want to go with these next 2?
Yeah, so I'm gonna again kind of stick with that formula. I'm gonna go with Justin Thomas. He's Koiven's neighbor in the pricing. Played well on Sunday. I was sweating that pretty hard, and he showed up, unlike most of the other idiots that I needed. But so I do like kind of what he's doing. I think he fits this course. This of the picks when I'm imagining my team, I think this is gonna be the most important pick for me because I think I might get this wrong. But I'm gonna take Alex Fitzpatrick. There's a lot of guys in that range. I saw in the last draft, Sanjay went. I think Fitzy was on the other team actually, but I do like him. He really lost it on Saturday. I watched that round really closely, particularly with the short game. But I think he fits here. I do, and I like the iron. So he's going to open up salary for the last 3 for me. If I can get away with that, I think I'll like the remaining picks for myself.
6,800, Alex Fitzpatrick off the board, as well as Justin Thomas. So these were both guys drafted in the last draft. We know Tambo is really high on Thomas. You know, I think Alex Fitzpatrick's a great value pick. I really like the start to your draft here, Ben. I love to hear from you, Kyle. Are Thomas and Fitzpatrick on your radar for this week?
I do like JT. He's someone that was sort of trying to push up in my model a little bit, just because I think he's a good fit for the course and he's been trending up. Fitzpatrick was going to be my next pick, so that was a little bit of a snipe there by Ben. So I will say I'm a little salty that I lost Fitzpatrick. He's the top value for this week in my model. I think he's an excellent fit for the course. Obviously, Joe talked about him on the previous draft, so that's a good pick. That one stings a little bit, so hopefully I can come back from that one. But yeah.
All right. Kyle, you got 2 here. Burns and Koiven off the board. You got about $8K per pick. Where are you going to go with your next 2?
Yeah, for this first one, I'm going to stay in that range here. I'm going to go Tom Kim at 7-9. This feels a little bit chasey here on Tom Kim, but again, I think he's a great fit for the course. He's been playing well. He played well last week, T5. Obviously won the Scottish Open a few weeks back. His approach play has just been, off the radar. I mean, when you look at a guy like Tom Kim who's gone through these roller coaster of emotions with the approach play, you have to have like a little bit of uneasy feelingness sort of chasing that. But the overall form for the irons, I think, will fit well for this course. So hopefully he can keep that up and not derail himself here. But I'll go with him there at 7-9. I still think he's a little bit expensive for the case of maybe chasing a little bit, but I'll still take him here. He grades out pretty well in my model. And then since I lost out on one Fitzpatrick brother, I'll go to the other one. I'll take Matt Fitzpatrick here. Again, similar reason for liking him. I think he fits the course well, strong approach player, has the third highest projection in my model for this week overall. So I'll take the other Fitz.
Gets you out of the range there with what Ben has left at 8,700. You will have 7,250 for your last two picks. Ben, you have Hideki, Justin Thomas, Alex Fitzpatrick. You got two picks coming up here. You have all the money to kind of do what you want here. I think the board is completely wide open for you. Where are you going to go with these next two picks?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to play it out in mind because Fitzpatrick would have been on my team, so I guess we're even. We split the Fitzy brothers. I'm gonna go with Hovland. He's kind of in the mid-range of the mid-range for me. Another one where I'm hoping it's volatility, but it's controlled. Obviously these guys that can rack up birdies, even if you make some mistakes out there in raw points, it can really add up. So for me, Hovland's a guy that fits a lot. And then I'm going to go with Ricky. So 75. I was going to do something a little weird, but honestly, this works better. And Ricky, he's all over the place. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, and I don't know if anything was wrong with him. Now he found it again. He's playing really well. So I'm not going to think too hard about it. I've got plenty of money to go get someone at the end here, and hopefully Ricky will show up and continue playing good golf for me.
Ricky Fowler off the board. Victor Hovland as well. Now, this is the first time Ricky Fowler was drafted. He didn't go in the last draft. But to your point, he's playing great golf, 7,500. I think he's a really interesting pick. How about you, Kyle? Was Ricky Fowler in your player pool for this week?
Ricky Fowler probably just missed the cut. I think there's a few guys in this range who I'll probably have to take at least one of them here that I think I like a bit more. But I love Holland this week. I think he's a good option. Obviously, kind of priced myself out of him here, but otherwise, I mean, for me in that range, it was going to be Koiven and then probably Hovland and then probably JT. So certainly like Ben's team, and Hovland would have been on the radar if I was building a little bit differently. But obviously, with the current roster construction, just missed out on that sort of build.
Yep, that makes sense. Fair enough. You got your last two to round out your squad, 7,200 per pick. How are you going to close out the squad?
Yeah, I'm kind of between a couple of, 2v2s here, and this option sort of stuck on this value spot here. I think, obviously, Aaron Rai was talked up quite a bit. I do like Aaron Rai, and between him and Jordan Smith, I think I'm going to side with Aaron Rai here. Aaron Rai has been someone I bet a lot over the course of my life and over the last couple of years, so I'll go back to him here, and then if Jordan Smith has a good week, I'll just kick myself a little bit there. But I will go with Aaron Rai for that value spot, much needed. Leaves me with what, 7,700 left. A couple of options I like here in this spot, but I'm going to go with my boy Michael Thorbjornsen here, coming off of the win at the Rocket. Spencer talked a little bit about Minwoo Lee on the Action podcast, and I thought about taking Minwoo Lee here in this spot, no cut event. He's certainly a guy who can go out there and fire some low rounds. So I do like him, but I think I like Thorbjornsen's win equity a little bit more here in this spot, and I like the way, obviously, his game's trending, so I'll go there.
Thor was mentioned in the last draft, didn't go, but he was another guy I think a lot of people like this week, playing great at 7,500. Aaron Rai, too, was obviously the first pick. So there's some really good value, really strong value plays here this week. Ben, would love to get your take on both Rai and Thorbjornsen, and then you're up with your last pick.
Yeah, Rai was someone I actually was hoping was going to go undrafted because I wasn't going to take him, and I don't want to play against him. He's just playing really good golf. He's a good player. and perpetually undervalued in these type of fields just because of the depth. So I'm not thrilled about that. Thor Bjornsson, total wild card. Obviously, he's coming off the win, but we see the talent. These guys, the youth movement over there with him and Koivu, all these dudes that I'm gonna have to deal with. The talent is through the roof. I have the dusty veterans with Ricky and JT, and now with Xander, who I'll round it out with. I think he just fits a lot of builds. Reliable, knows what he's doing. Obviously, I could afford him. So yeah, Xander to close it out for me.
I find it interesting. No one's gone all the way to the top of the board in 2 drafts. Xander, the most expensive golfer that we've seen drafted so far tonight, which is interesting. I think it goes to show you that value, more balanced builds is being valued, especially for these head-to-head formats, which I think, totally makes sense. Spence, I'd love to hear from you. I know you haven't run all the numbers, but at first glance, which lineup between these two does it seem like your model would prefer?
I think this is a very tough matchup. I'm going to say this, you didn't ask me on the last one what I thought. I'm going to give a different answer, and maybe I'm doing this to try to motivate Tambo. I mean, I'm taking money on these contests. I've become the home, so if I can do something to motivate him, maybe that'll be what this is. But I thought Joe Idone did a really good job with his build, and so did Tambo. It's a very flat build across the board. I am not as high on Wyndham Clark this week, so that's one of the things that I think will probably push me a little bit higher there. I give that answer to tell you here, I really do not know. I think it's very 50-50. I think Xander's one of the best plays at the top. Kyle and I talked about Thor Bjornsson on the Action Network show. He's one of my favorite plays on the entire board. It's going to definitely project very closely in my model. I would assume this is within probably minus 110 one way or the other of where this ends up landing.
That is tight. And all of our matchups have tend to be pretty tight. This does seem like it will be another really good one, but only one will survive and advance to the Final Four. Ben and Kyle are absolute legends in the golf space. As I said at the beginning of the show, the creme is rising to the top. We are getting to the finalists, the best in the space, and we certainly have that here tonight. Before we get both of you out of here, we'll start with you, Kyle. Give us your favorite bet of the week and tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, I think my favorite bet of the week is Sam Burns outright. If you wanted to be, a little bit more conservative, like him top 10, top 20 as well, but certainly on the Sam Burns bandwagon. And, maybe if you are a Sam Burns believer and him choking on Sundays, maybe stick to the top 10 or top 20 markets. But you can find me on X, Twitter at KMerDFS, all my picks at Scores and Odds and the Action Network. And then obviously doing the weekly podcast there with Spencer on the Action Network, covering every single golf tournament this year. And hopefully we can run it back next year as well.
Yeah.
I love it. How about you, Ben? We need your bet of the week. And where can we find you?
So I'll, if you're going to put your first pick out there, I'll take Decky outright. I know you co-signed that. So, yeah. I do think Hideki's going to play good. I actually think he's an interesting wheel. And what I mean by that, he's also very reliable. So if you want to flat on a top 10 or a top 20, obviously you're not going to be finding, 25, 31, but you'll find a reasonable number. I do like Hideki this week. And you can, of course, find me over at Stochastic, talking all things DFS, and over on Odd Chopper, talking a lot of betting and prediction markets and all that good stuff with golf and soon to be college football. So, and, on Twitter, JazzRazDFS, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys next week. But either way, real fun draft. I like both these teams a lot.
Well, we appreciate you guys. Like I said, you guys are absolute legends. Make sure you give both of them a follow. You will certainly win more by doing so. Good luck, fellas, and we look forward to seeing one of you come back next week.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, Spence, we got another draft coming up. The first half of the Elite Eight is through. I guess before we bring into the next draft, just a quick pulse check. What do you think of the first 2 drafts thus far?
Some consistencies as you would expect. I think we've gotten some unique differences, though. We honestly saw it at the very end there with Kyle going Thor Bjornsson, Fitzpatrick, Tom Kim, 3 names that had not been selected at this point through 2 drafts, and we have 2 more to come. The one thing I'll say as we move on to this next draft, and we didn't talk about it with Tambo and Joe Idone. That was a repeat. There's the way that this bracket is set up. It's meant to try to kind of create rivalries on top of it. Winner goes into one end, the second place person plays the winner from the other end. There's a chance that both of those two names can meet again. Joe I ended up winning that group. Tambo came second. Tambo's going to get an opportunity to kind of, make up for what happened the first time. The same exact thing is coming into play with this battle between Derek and Brad. And to me, from a competitive standpoint, I would love to hear what both of them think, because Brad has the upper hand right now, being 1-0, winning the group. By the way, being with Joe Idone as one of the only two people that hasn't lost yet. And then the flip side of it, of Derek trying to actually come in and dethrone somebody who's beaten him the first time. So I'll bring them on right now. I'll let them talk about that question. But there are two people here that have competed against each other. They have gotten here to the final 8. I'll start with you here, Derek. You got a tall task to try to overcome the person who ended up winning your group during the first go around here.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know about rivalry. I'm just pumped to see Brad again. I want to work with him moving forward. So, yeah, I'm probably the wrong guy to throw some shade, but yeah, I'm happy to be on here, and hopefully I can have a little bit better performance. I'm not going to pig speed this week. I'll
Tambo turned full heel tonight. He was going after everybody. I couldn't bait you to do the same thing, but Brad, glad to have you back. You had one of the best finishes against Phil Stifle in the last round to get yourself in this position. A very strong close. As I said, you and Joe are the only two right now that are undefeated. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, when I built my team, I was I probably inserted a little bit too much risk. But then I came back and I thought about it. After I saw that I won, I was very rarely do the lineups that you feel are perfect do well. You're oh, I just made the perfect lineup. And then you're well, this sucked. I just wasted a bunch of money. It wasn't good. And I was really excited about, feeling uncomfortable, doing something I probably wouldn't have done and actually paying off, especially in the fashion that it did with the comeback.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. You guys have a fresh draft tonight, but as we did with the last draft, before I clear the board, I'll start with you, Noto. What do you think of the last draft? Which team between Kyle's Benz would you have taken?
Yeah, this is tough because I obviously work with Kyle on a daily basis. So, he's my buddy, but I kind of like Ben's team a little bit more. I'm not going to lie. Ben Rasa's a guy. I've always wanted to do a show with him. He's always on the Pat Mayo experience, doing some good stuff over there. And but yeah, I kind of like his lineup. Seems a little safer than Kyle's.
All right, Ben is the choice. Brett, how about you? Which of the two would you take in the last draft?
Man, I'd probably take Ben's just because I feel two players on Kyle's team, already two golfers already worry me with just because how much golf they've played in a short amount of time with Jackson Koiven and Tom Kim. We saw a little bit of Koiven kind of flaming out last week, had a horrible Sunday. And then Aaron Rye, Fitzpatrick, we don't know what we're getting out of their game right now, right? They could be the best of the bunch. On the other side, I guess you could say the same thing about Hovland and Baby Fitz, but it just feels like a lot more informed golfers who are really ready to chase it.
All right, Ben getting the landslide here. So we'll see how that plays out. But another legendary match up ahead of us. We have to get to the final 4 where we'll start a fresh board and spin the wheel. So as I get ready to spin the wheel, I'll ask you here, Brad, what pick do you wish to get if it was your choice?
I'm cool with first. But I'm also cool at second because I feel like he's not going to pick my guy, which is totally cool.
Okay. Well, you will get the choice. So it's your choice. Do you true to your word? Are you taking the first pick?
Yeah, I'm taking the first pick.
All right. No, that means you will be drafting second in this draft. We'll pull up the board, Brad. Without further ado, who is that guy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood. I just feel like for a 10K guy, he has been one of the most safe golfers. But you feel like he hasn't missed a cut or finished outside the top 20 since PGA Championship. And I think he has a legitimate shot to win this week. But even if he doesn't, right, he's one of those guys where his floor is a lot higher than a lot of golfers.
So I find this to be really interesting, and it's two things that I'm going to say. Fleetwood was not taken in the first 2 drafts, and he's the first pick in this draft, which not a bad thing. I think it's really interesting. But 2, and I will see if it plays out that way. It does seem to me that we're trending toward possibly another draft where we don't go to the elites, the Rorys, the Schefflers of the world. Fleetwood off the board, hard to kind of afford both. We'll see what Noto does as well, but it does feel like there's a strong stance on balance this week, especially in a head-to-head environment. But Noto, you tell us, start with Tommy Fleetwood. Do you like Tommy Fleetwood this week? And then who are your first two picks going to be?
Listen, I've been around forever. I love Tommy Fleetwood. Everyone that's been around loves Tommy Fleetwood. Easy guy to root for. Just so consistent. And, he should have won this event last year. Luckily, he got the W, a couple weeks later at the Tour Championship. So love that pick. I am going to be going to the top of the board, but I don't need to go there yet because I don't think Brad can afford the guy that I like. So I'm going to go ahead and take Russell Henley at 86.
Russell Henley, another
Nice.
unique pick on the night.
First pick.
Off the board. And then who are you taking with your second?
I'm going to go Tom Kim, 79.
Tom Kim. Now, before we move off this pick, Brad, I'll go back to you. You mentioned, were you surprised? Were you disappointed that Henley went off with his first pick?
I was going to take Henley next, but I didn't think he would make it much further. So I'm not like too upset about it because that's just kind of what happens when you take a 10K guy first. You're like, any of the real true value, those guys in the high eights, mid eights, they're going to be gone, right? Like you're just going to be kind of licking your chops, praying that you got a little bit better luck.
That totally makes sense. All right. Well, you have two here. Who are you taking from here?
Yeah. So first one, I'm going to go ahead and snab Bobby Mack. And then I'm going Jacob Bridgman.
I mean, this has been definitely, Joel, the most unique draft that we've seen so far. These are a lot of players that have not been selected that are going early in this draft. And I wanted to insert this at the beginning, and I'm going to backtrack to the Tommy Fleetwood pick. We keep talking about safety, and we keep talking about in this specific contest, you need to beat one player. Who is safer than Tommy Fleetwood every single week from a week in, week out perspective? Like, if I could go back in time and I could put myself back into the contest at the Travelers, the thing that eliminated me from it is I ended up taking Ludwig Oberg instead of Tommy Fleetwood. And if I could just role reverse that exact pick and take Fleetwood with the safety, granted it was a no-cut tournament like this one, and I kind of had visions of upside throughout my entire lineup of having 4 rounds of every single golfer, Tommy Fleetwood ended up being the right choice with it. And I am shocked to see that this is the first draft that Tommy Fleetwood's off the board. I am not shocked to see that he's gone off as early as he has, but I really like that selection. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And then my model also really liked Bobby Mack. I was not expecting that as we came into this week. I think he's a really good leverage play in large field GPP contests this week of somebody that people aren't going to necessarily get to there at 8,300 with everything that's sandwiched around him. So strong start from Brad. That leaves him 8,100 with his next 3 picks. Derek, you're going to have 2 selections here. You started Russell Henley at 8,600. You took Tom Kim at 7,900. You've talked about wanting to go near the top of the board with one of these selections. You're kind of now in the range of where Brad is with this. Where are you going to go with these next 2 picks?
Yeah, so good news for Brad. I've never been on the right side of Robert McIntyre, so he's probably going to win. Love the Bridgman pick this week. He's one of my favorite guys in the 7Ks, so I'm bored with that one. I'm going to go – let's go with cheaper guy. Let's go with Sung Jae Im.
It's the second or the third time that we've seen Sung Jae Im so far. You want to give your take on it in 10 or 15 seconds of why you like Sung Jae this week?
Yeah, so he's not a guy that I play a lot because he's all short game. At least he has been this year. But he's gained strokes ball striking in 4 straight events. If he can do that mixed with his, great short game that typically shows up, I think he's pretty good value this week.
And then one more to you here.
All right, still debating what to do with the rest of the lineup, but I'm going to go Scotty Scheffler.
Wow.
I think he wins by a field goal this week.
Not even close. You're taking him by a landslide. I guess, is it almost like a feeling like he's due? Like he's still the best player in the world, and you know it's coming. So it's just a matter of is this that spot?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I love Scotty Scheffler 13-5 off the board. Certainly a unique approach from the other drafts, but listen, Scotty Scheffler's the best player in the world, so it certainly makes sense. Brad, were you hoping Scotty Scheffler would be left for you? I'm not sure if you'd even be able to afford him at this point.
No.
And then where are you going with your next two?
No, I didn't care about Scotty Scheffler. I'm going with Jordan Smith. He should be around 6,600. I was actually really shocked that he stayed here because now this gives me some flexibility with my next pick, and that's going to be Cam Young.
Yeah, I think that this is a very unique draft, as I've kind of said throughout every single pick that we've seen here. So when I went on with Mayo today, and I think that show just aired for anybody that wants to tune in and actually cares about what my opinion on are some of these players, and that's not what the role is for this show. But I talked about Cam Young, and I'll leave the other ones nameless for the sake of this, but Cam Young was one of my favorite plays on the entire board. And Pat and I got it really deep into a conversation about Scotty Scheffler and what is optimal and what is not optimal with Scotty Scheffler. And I think we both came to an agreement on that show that I will speak for myself personally, at least. I am going to play a lot of Scotty Scheffler this week. Like, I'm trying to find a way to fit him into builds. I'm trying to figure out a way to use him. And I think you can get unique because of what's in the $6,000 section. And there's a lot of players that I like to where I can even find a way to fit him in with Cameron Young and kind of just leave myself at the bottom with a couple of those names. And this makes this draft really difficult between you two because I do think you guys have the favorite in Scotty Scheffler with what Noto just did, and then arguably my favorite play on the board in Cameron Young. So I wouldn't expect anything else from you two. I kind of thought this was going to be a battle between you guys, and it's shaping up to be that way. And as you give us your last two picks, Derek, you're now down, as I've talked about. You have Scotty, you have Sungjae, who's given you a $6,000 name. You have Henley and Tom Kim, which has already made your lineup very different from a lot of Scotty lineups, the way that people think about building them, depending on exactly how you're going to close this. But do you have somebody extremely cheap that you're trying to fit into this build, or do you have two names here that are going to kind of be around the same price?
No, I came into the draft thinking, okay, I'm going to play Scheffler, and I'm going to play Henley or Tom Kim, and then I kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit by picking Henley and Tom Kim. So I'm going to have to take some chances down here. It's tough for me. Two guys at 6,800. I love Fitzpatrick and I love Aaron Rye. I'm going to go with Rye just because he's played here before and he played a little bit better last week. So I'm going to go Aaron Rye, 6,800.
And then you have 6,500 left for this last pick.
Trusting the model here. Model likes Bud Colley. Going with some safety, hopefully.
I'm really happy that you gave this Bud Colley selection. Maybe not so much because I think that this makes it a really competitive game with me having money on Brad here. And I'd like to see how Brad ends up wrapping this out, but I will give this answer. So my model thinks that the best person to pair with Scotty Scheffler this week is Bud Colley. And Aaron Rye would be the second choice. So I really like personally from within my model how you close that build with those two.
Man. Decisions.
Well, Brad, yeah, $8,000 on the board for you here. A lot of options to consider from board's kind of wide open outside of Tom Kim, who Noto has. You pretty much have everybody else.
Yeah, it's really wide open. And, kind of like what I was asking myself here is, do I want to, like we talked about this, do I want safety in this pick, or do I just want to go back and kind of just be a crazy person and just take my favorite golfer of the bunch? I think I left myself some pretty good flexibility too, and I'm gonna go with. Should we do it? All right, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna take Mr. Ricky Fowler.
Fowler off the board again, drafted 2 weeks in a row, 7,500, and you're leaving 500 on the table, which is the most of any draft this week. Totally acceptable. I think 500.
I've left money on every draft.
Interesting. Every draft, happily leaving money on the table within the draft environment. Spencer, eyeballing it, your model, who do you think gets the lead?
God, that Scheffler Rye Collie close is my model's just going to love that. I mean, that's essentially the optimal Scotty build that you can find, and he also found a way to fit in Russell Henley and Tom Kim into it. On the flip side of it, Fleetwood and Cameron Young, 2 top 5 players in my model. Want to throw another $6,000 golfer that my model really likes. That would be Jordan Smith. He's the third name next to Ryan Collie. That's kind of optimal for me, whether I'm fitting it with Scotty or somebody else. I think these are 2 really good builds. I think it's tough to beat somebody twice. I think it's tough to beat Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to go with Noto here with the Scotty Scheffler pick and Ryan Collie, but I think this is very close, and I think if we've learned anything in this contest, do not count Brad out. Brad has not lost for a reason.
There you have it. Listen, it's not easy to get to the Elite Eight. The cream is rising to the top, and getting to the Final Four is supposed to be that much harder. This is an absolutely legendary matchup. Follow along as we crown a winner. If you're not already following both of these two, it is a mistake. You will make more money by doing so. Before we get you guys out of here, Brad, we'll start with you. Tell us your favorite bet of the week, and where can everyone find you?
Favorite bet of the week. If there's any liquidity left, I know I gobbled up some of that liquidity on Jacob Bridgman over on Profit X. He's +1. He's 35-1 to win. I just feel like we just saw him win at a golf course where you have to hit fairways, where it puts such an emphasis and there's such a missed fairway penalty. And surprisingly, his irons are starting to come back, and you already know he's going to putt well, right? So for me, it's just don't make the small mistakes early. Just start off really, really, really strong, because he's just one of those golfers who I feel like if he starts strong, he's going to have a good tournament, but he's not one of those golfers who's good at digging himself out of a hole.
Cool. All right. There you have it. Noto, please tell us where we can find you and what's your favorite bet of the week.
Yeah, first I appreciate you guys doing this. It's been a lot of fun. You can find me at Roto Grinders or on Twitter at RG_Notorious. For my favorite bet of the week, was going back and forth. I really like Colin Morikawa in the winner without Scheffler market, plus 2,400. But Scheffler top 10 is sitting at -180 right now. So that implies he's got to get it 64% of the time. He's hit it 82% of the time in his last 33 events. And this is only a field of 70 golfers. So it's my biggest golf bet of the year in terms of units. So yeah, Scotty Scheffler top 10. It's not a sexy bet. Nobody likes betting golf bets that aren't, 20-1, but yeah, that's my favorite bet of the week.
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear what you said. What did you say the line was? The number?
-180.
I took that as well. It was ridiculous. Like, what?
Boom. Scotty Scheffler -180. The both drafters love the bet. So there you have it. We appreciate you guys. I wish you both luck this week, but only one will return for the Final Four. Thanks, fellas. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
You guys.
All right, Spence. My next question is, was Byron successful at telling Millie Ghost that the draft changed? Or are they both here for the draft?
I didn't see him in the lobby, but we're going early.
So you did. You actually pawned him. You tricked him out of not drafting so you could auto advance.
Let's go.
It's good
Let's start the draft right now.
He did make it. He made it. So it's not going to happen. You're going to have to actually win the right way here. Is it true? So, AK, we heard that Byron was trying to trick you into thinking the draft was not tonight so we can get an auto advance. Is that true?
Well, out of respect, it could be, but I'm not going to say yes or no. I cannot deny or
all right, keeping his hands, playing his cards.
I'm not going to give in to his tricks and his little, this and that. I know what he's trying to do. I saw all of his information out there, all of his beautiful graphs and his charts and all that stuff today. And I was like, I think he might be sending some sort of AI to me. So wherever I'm reading his stuff, that it's actually specifically to get me off of his scent. I think he sent all the maniacs out there
tomorrow,
having a little laugh in the Discord at the Millie Goats and AK over here. I know what's going on.
Byron confirmed that he did. He sent out a fake leaderboard or his fake favorite plays so that you would see it and then throw you off. so he could win tonight.
Hey,
Oh, I
Tampa-
know his tricks. Look,
I was just going to say, I mean, Tambo kind of admitted to doing the same thing at the first draft of getting Joe to try to draft the way that he wanted him to during it. So there's gamesmanship, and I'm eliminated from the contest now. Like, I think I can admit this, Joel. Like, I'm the only person that ended up drafting within a 3-man, and AK was in that draft with me. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, I sent Matt Gannon on a wild goose chase. He never showed up for the draft, and didn't work for me. I got myself eliminated from the contest. But AK, you're sitting here now, you know, 1 man down in that draft, and you've dominated the competition. So gonna have to try to do it again with Byron to move yourself to the final 4. But I'll have you bring up the draft board, Joel, and we can get into this.
Well, as has become tradition on this show, I'm going to start here. We're going to start with the last draft, and we'll start with you, Byron. Between Brad and Noto's team, which of these two would you have taken?
Listen, I would take Brad's hair any day. That's why the wig is in full effect. I knew I was coming in after him, so had to clean up in the hair department. In fact, I'll take the hat off just so we can really get it looking good. But I'm going to go with Noto. I love the balls of rocking a Scotty Scheffler lineup with 3 6K guys, and he's also got my Russell Henley in there, who I will be going for in the draft. So, you know, that's who I love, and he's super underrated. So give me Russell Henley and Noto's squad there.
Well, the question here is, AK, will you fall for the smoke screen Byron just gave that he wants Henley when he know he doesn't? That is completely trying to throw you off. The mind games are in full effect on this last draft.
The amount of gifts that we've sent back and forth over the last probably 12 hours, and it's been WWE, it's been The Office, it's been all kinds of nonsense. But I don't think we've said a word. It's just been gif after gif after gif. It's exactly what I would expect. It's beautiful. Now, look, does he know more golf than me? Yes. Does he make beautiful models? Yes. Does he have a great following, a great community? Yes. Yes.
But
there is no but. There's no but.
Oh wow!
But
okay.
Technically, you've won more matchups than me. Didn't you have a play-in?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I don't, and that's the thing. Like I just keep all my little secrets right now to myself until at the very end, maybe I'll reveal it. Now, look, I don't want to have to do the Shawn Michaels to the Ric Flair, the sweet chin music.
See, now you're tuning up the band.
That's my boy.
Now you're tuning up the band.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do the Brock Lesnar or the Undertaker. I don't want to have to do that. I'm just here. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a nice, clean draft. We're going to get our guys, and we're going to get out, and then we're going to send subliminal messaging on Twitter for the next 4 days. That's what we're going to do.
I love the passive aggressive gifts. That's what this is about.
I saw them all being sent back and forth, and I decided to wear a Degeneration X t-shirt specifically for these two tonight. And, you know, if these two are Stone Cold and The Rock, I'd like to think, Joel, you and I are Shawn Michaels and Triple H, I guess. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Let's go.
I thought you were going to call us the Rock and Sacco, but I get that too. I get that. Listen, AK, before I get off the screen, I need your pick. Brad or Noto's team?
I would lean more toward Brad, even though I love Scotty. I love Scotty Scheffler. He's just, is that weird to say? That's not weird to say. I love Scotty Scheffler, the golfer. Can I say that?
I think you can love the person too.
Yeah. Great guy.
Everyone's favorite felon.
But yeah, I would probably go with Brad there.
All right.
I'm not going to say why, because there's a draft to be had, and you know, there's nobody else I'd rather go up against right now than this guy across from me. We've had some fun over the past few years talking golf and talking all kinds of shenanigans. So,
all right, AK. Well, it's your choice. You drafted first or second?
I want you to go. I'll go second. I want second. You go first. That's right. My balls are in your court. Come on.
Byron with the first pick.
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Byron just steals the draft pick, gets everybody to do exactly what he wants. This is the most amazing mind games I've ever seen before.
It only works with the hair and sunglasses.
All right. You know, since AK was such a generous gentleman there, I'm going to go ahead and take Matt Fitzpatrick at $9,900. Got him second in the model. I think he's going to be a solid tournament player as well at his current ownership right now in the 15s that I'm seeing. Number one in the course fit model this week. He's actually sneaky good on Bermuda, putting wise, long term. And the guy just finds fairways, and his iron play around a golf course like this is going to just destroy this place. So there's price cheapness to be had here at 9,900, and the course fit. I mean, he's mispriced this week, in my opinion.
Matt Fitzpatrick, he was taken once before as like a last pick. Was not mentioned often on this show, but now the first pick here for Byron, who I like a lot. So I think it's just an interesting, unique way we're making some different builds. AK, would love to hear from you on Matt Fitzpatrick. Is he someone that you were hoping to play this week?
I wouldn't say I was hoping to play. But I understand why you play him. Like it's a good pick, and I'm not just saying that. Yes, we've been throwing around. It doesn't matter what you think. Like
it doesn't.
But it's a good. I mean, it's a good pick. I have already made some lineups where I've gone a totally different. He wasn't in my. Not to say I wouldn't play him if it came down to it, but it's a good pick. I like Matt Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
I've been playing him a lot this year. I'll tell you that.
Well, you can't have Matt, but you can have his brother if you'd like, or anyone else in the field. You got two. Where are you going with your first two picks?
I want Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, there you go.
I want Fleets. I want him on my team. I want to root for him. I want him to look out there on all week and watch him and just be like, wow, MC Hammer did a great job designing those golf pants. And just let me have Tommy Fleetwood on this team where you need to be accurate and you got to be an absolute savage with your irons. Let's get Tommy Fleetwood. The second pick. Could I do Scotty? No, I'm not going to do Scotty. The second pick I'm going to go with, I know this is going to be crazy, and it's not crazy, but Sam Burns. We got to have Sam Burns on the team. I want Sam Burns. Yes. Is that a millie maker? Like, oh my gosh, he's going to be super high owned. Yes. But in this format, and you know what? I don't like the SEC. I hate the SEC, especially in playoffs. So it's too late. I already picked him, but I want Sam Burns. There's nothing I can do. Pick is in.
Sam Burns off. Listen, I think to your point, he's a great play. I didn't know this, but he seems to be very popular this week, which I guess for good reason because he's playing great.
So's Tommy. They're both. I mean, obviously it's the playoffs. So playoffs.
I hate that. I've had to change my team. I had a team loaded, and I've had to make my first amendment. Yeah. So not good.
First of many.
Working on a replacement.
Well, which one was the steal?
Sam Burns.
It's
weird for me, because I'm not usually a Sam Burns guy, but he's popping hard right now.
He is, yes. And look, again, the whole SEC thing. If I lose, I will just go to the strength of schedule argument and be like, have you seen the strength of schedule I played this whole tournament? And then I could, you guys follow the college football world. That's the big thing for the SEC is you just say, hey, the strength of schedule was really tough. It was a gauntlet. So Sam Burns, shout out SEC on the team.
Playoff event.
I digress.
He used to be bad in majors because of the strength of schedule. Now he's actually nutting up a bit.
Mr. Runner-up.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So
yeah, as good tee to green as we've probably ever seen from Sam Burns, and I don't know. I mean, I guess we haven't had it yet of Fleetwood and Burns. Those are two of the safest golfers for a head-to-head matchup that you can find on the board. Have to like what AK's done here to start. This is, as I said at the very beginning of this, somebody who is the reason why I am not sitting here right now, who drafted a very safe lineup, and I have seen this consistently from AK in the play-in game, in the opening round, last week against Dustin. It's just across the board. And I don't know what that's going to do for your lineup, Byron. As you talked about, Burns is somebody you cannot take now at this point. You did start with Matthew Fitzpatrick. You do pretty much have the world open for you of what you want to do outside of Tommy Fleetwood and Sam Burns. Where are you going to go with these next two?
Yeah, I need to pay attention to where I'm going to go. And I think I'm going to leave that upper 9K range alone in the meantime, since I don't imagine AK is going anywhere in the 9s yet. So give me my boy Russell Henley, who I mentioned I was going to take.
You did.
Just
call a shot. Babe Ruth.
You got to call your shot. And sometimes if you say it in a specific way, the shot may come across as, some sweet chin music. I don't know. But this Russell Henley situation at this price tag is straight up disrespectful. What is that 40-1 to win over there? This guy is the 5th ranked golfer in the world.
He's an animal.
At a golf course that he's got multiple good finishes at. It suits his game, finding the fairways. He just has forgotten how to chip a little bit lately. But, get him down to the south there again, and I think we're in good shape. So Russell Henley off the board for me there. And then I'm going to go with, I'm going to go from one of my favorite golfers to, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I'm going to go with
come on,
Patrick
let us have it.
I'm going to go with Patrick Cantley at $8,800. So,
Yes.
I do understand. I don't know how much I will be playing him this week in DFS, but I just think he's just such a slothy, stuck in the teens kind of a golfer. This 8th place finish he had last week was an absurdity. I didn't, expect he would have anything to do with the top 10, but here we are. He's playing some fantastic golf, like very safe right now and affordable. Love this golf course for him as well. So some good results here over the years. Patrick Cantley, $8,800.
I always like Patrick Cantley. It's, as I've said in previous drafts, the reason why AK ended up beating me. So, I mean, there's something there that you're going to have to overcome, Byron. But where did you have him out of curiosity? I haven't talked a lot with models with everybody. Where did you have him ranked in your model?
9th. So, and I've got Russell ranked 6th. So that's the thing.
It makes sense. Like I can't watch him. I just can't do it. If I play him on my team, I'm like, if they show Patrick Cantley on my screen, I will duck my head under the sand like an ostrich. I can't do it. It's like,
I will give them a good shout out for handling Tom Kim quite well. They waited like 2 seconds before he was going to pull the trigger, and I don't know unless they piped it in afterwards, but that handled well. So good to them.
Russell Henley was 6th in my model, same as you, Byron. Patrick Cantley was 14th, which is still a value. Not as high as you are, but certainly somebody that I am considering this week. And Burns and Fleetwood, who AK started with, are 2 top 10 players in my model. So I think this is a really strong start from both of you guys. You're going to get 2 picks here, AK, to continue this strong build that you've had of Fleetwood and Burns. Give us the first one here to start.
Oh, gosh. This is going to be tough, and it's going to be disgusting. But this guy's a playoff guy. I want him on the team. When I built my, I was building lineups. This guy goes miscut, top 5, miscut, top 5, miscut, top 5. He missed the cut last week. Or was it the week before? No, he missed the cut at the Open Championship. So he went tied first, 13th, miscut. It's Victor Hovland. He has a great track record, of course. I'm scared to death. I'm just scared to death. But I'm picking him up off a miscut, and I'm banking off when he messes up, he figures it out for a week. I don't need him to figure it out next week. I need him to figure it out this week. And I think he can do it. Victor Hovland.
I think that makes sense. Give us your second pick.
Second pick, I'm going to take a guy who's just absolutely wicked hot right now, and that's Tom Kim. I'm not even going to joke around. In that range, you've got the Ben Griffins, the JJ Spahns, even Justin Rose, maybe even Justin Thomas there. But the way that I built this thing so far, he's the guy I wanted to play in the 7,900 range. He's just playing out of his mind. So great golf. Love it. Tom Kim.
All right. Tom Kim off the board. Victor Hovland off the board. We'll start here, Byron. Were Victor Hovland and Tom Kim 2 guys you were eyeing with your next 2 picks?
No. I think Victor going off at 20% ownership right now, what I'm seeing, it's a little absurd. The playoff narrative that AK speaks of is next week. And the FedExCup Championship, the Tour Championship. This tournament, Victor, he's got a second place here 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, it's 20th, 13th, and 32nd. It's good, but it's not like good, like we've seen with some guys like Tommy and the boys over at the top here. So I think I'm okay kind of, Patrick Cantley's gone 2nd, 12th, 9th at this golf course. I think that's like my boy. To me, that's better form that I'm looking for there at less ownership. So I'm cool with that. But Tom Kim, there's nothing. I bet him last week, So
We love Tommy.
I'm sad because he just seemed to leak a couple right when it mattered most down the stretch there. But he was right in the mix again, dude, and then just didn't quite bring it home. So fancy his chances again this week. I like that play a lot.
All right, Tom Kim's not off the board. You can't have him, Byron, but you do have two. You have about 7,500 per pick. Where are you going with your next two?
I'll do a Hideki Matsuyama at $9,000.
Gosh, I love Hideki.
Sprinkling
Big
in
Decky energy.
Yeah, big Decky energy. Let's go. Who's your mama? Hideki Matsuyama is your mama. I think, the safety that she's providing you, he's now cashed top 20 bets in 5 straight heading into this week and 3 straight at this tournament. And I think you can find a ±20 bet on them. That's it. Hideki Matsuyama, awesome safety in this department here, 10th in the model as well. And then I'm going to go with, let me just make sure I'm not going off the rails here. I'll go with Alex Noren at $7,100. Finally getting some redemption for having him really high in the model for the last couple weeks. It kind of got some bad form right when he started popping hard, and then last week he showed up again. 7th place finish last week after an 18th at the Open Championship. Alex Noren's playing some fantastic golf. He is an incredible putter on Bermuda grass, finds a lot of fairways, hits his irons very nicely on this kind of a golf course, and I fancy his chances to get some stuff done this week. So Alex Noren at $7,100 is where we're going to go.
First time Noren was brought up this week. I think he's a really interesting play. I'm glad that you were able to take him. He got mentioned on our show because at 7,100, I think he's certainly an interesting value play.
I say this looking at these two lineups with the most as much of a compliment as I can. These are two people playing each other, having safe cash game lineups that are going to be difficult to beat one another. I think both of you guys have done a really steady, good job across the board. And AK, you're going to have 2 picks here. You have $7,000 remaining from these 2 picks to be able to round out this team of really good safety that you have from top to bottom. Like I probably like Victor Hovland more than Byron seems to this week. I think you have 4 players that are kind of right near the top of my model and a lot of the safety metrics that I'm trying to find, but you're going to have to give us 2 more here to round out this build.
Okay. I'm going to go with a guy I've been playing pretty much all year. Mr. Iron Man himself. Mr. Tony Starks. Mr. Canadian. And that's Corey Connors. I love a little Corey Connors. I've been playing the wheels off of this guy all year in all kinds of lineups. And I don't know if a lot of people have been from what I've seen off of the percentage, the ownership, but I love Corey Connors. Especially, he's 3 top 20s in his last 5 events. And for 6,700, come on now. I'll take that.
Sunday surge at the Travelers is one of the big reasons that you are advanced past me in this. Corey Connors ended up skyrocketing up the leaderboard. So, I have negative things to say about him for that reason, but I think it makes logical sense here for a safety pick. Top 25 player in my model for safety. You've opened up a little bit of salary for yourself now. So you have 7,300 for this last pick. Where are you going to go with this selection?
This is terrifying to me because there's 2 guys that I'm absolutely between that I really, there's a safer pick and then there's a risky pick of a guy who really has a great course history here. And I've been playing this thing course history to the T every round. That's what I like to look at. Not to say I'm not looking at other models and other things like that, but this has really put me in a bind here because
well, run it by us because I'm not going to be paid. I can't take your guy.
Okay. So I'm between Akshay Bhatia and I'm between Jacob Bridgman. And I love them both. Akshay Bhatia recent form is not great, but he can score. He can go and score. Bridgman doesn't have that ceiling. So I'm up against a real dilemma in my brain. Do I keep what I've been doing all tournament, which is be safe, or do I take the guy who's got the higher ceiling in Akshay Bhatia? And that's where I'm at.
I think that's a legitimate question. And I think the way that you phrased it is 100% correct there.
So now the original team I drafted had Bridgman. But every time I go back to this, I'm like, I might want the Slim Reaper on my team. But could that be the difference between a win and a loss? And Mr. Byron over there is just laughing, and I could see him in his little sunglasses there, and his head's nodding, and his hair is waving, and I'm like, oh, what do I do here? That's the question.
I have Jacob Bridgman ranked 16th, and I have Akshay 21st in my model.
I feel like this is one of those ones you're going to turn it on, and Batia is going to be like top 10 first day.
Top 10 first day doesn't help you. You need him top 10.
I know. I'm devastated here because the original plan was to go Bridgman, and then I got, you know what? I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going Bridgman. I'm doing it.
Okay.
I'm taking Bridgman. And if Batia, Rock Your Batia, whatever you want to do, Backstreet Boys, whatever. If he's the one that sinks this ship, I'm going to be devastated. But I'm going with the ACC, the Clemson guy, Bridgman. Great showing at the Hall of Fame game. I think Batia is also an ACC guy, so that really didn't do anything for me. But this is the lineup I wanted. This is the team I wanted. Let's go Bulls.
Lock it in. $100 left over. Bridgman off the board. Connor's off the board. Solid looking squad for AK. Byron, what about you? Where would you have gone with that? Like, would you have taken Akshay or Bridgman?
Man, it's weird because Bridgman's coming in at projected low ownership than Akshay, despite Akshay not really having the best track record entering the week. So, but that 6th place and ownership typically pulls around course history. From what I've seen, and that 6th and 12th place finish from Akshay in the last 2 FedEx St. Jude's is definitely doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And I actually have Akshay color-coded here to play in the 20 to 50% range this week. So I'm probably going to play him like 25% of my lineups. So I'm really kind of zoning in on that $7,300 price tag there with a lot of other people going to, some more popular names around him. I like him a lot. Bridgman just concerned. I like him for this contest. He's just not. He went off the rails once he came to this side of the world from the West Coast and has found consistency again, but he's just not finishing inside the top 20 nearly enough right now. No. So he's consistent, and there's just one round of tournament that he's just screwing up somehow. And I've lost a lot of money betting Bridgman top 20 during that period of time. So
he's just missed the top 20. Like, you're not talking like far off. Like, it's just barely. It's like one shot.
39th, 47th, 26th, 28th, 26th. That's what we're getting from Bridgman right now. So, but I can see it. I mean, I've got him ranked in the top 20 here, so I like it a lot.
Well, out of curiosity, Joel, what would you have done?
I like Akshay a lot this week. Now, in fairness, I will say with this, I am playing more GPPs. I'm not paying as much cash. So for GPPs, I think it's definitely Akshay. For cash, though, I think it's a harder decision. I think if it's a 50-50, it's, that's where Bridgman's advantage would be. So I can certainly understand the Bridgman's choice in a head-to-head, but any tournament for me would definitely be Akshay.
Makes sense.
Oh, that was brutal, guys.
I feel your pain there, AK. I don't think that we've spent as much time as we have on this because I do think this is a difficult decision, and it's very reminiscent. I sat with you in a spot at the very end of the draft, and we'll get to Byron's pick here in 1 second, but I sat with you at the end of the draft, and did I want upside with Sepp Straka, which we all know how that turned out, or did I want to take Corey Connors with the safety? Because I had the first opportunity there to kind of be able to pull the trigger and go down that route, and I went for the upside in a no-cut tournament, and it imploded in my face in all the worst ways possible. That's how my model sees it. It has a top 20 return for Bridgman for safety, and the upside for Akshay's through the roof on a golfer that if you just look at the last 24 rounds, and I'll read off these stats just very quickly before we get to Byron's pick here. 14th weighted strokes gained tee to green, 53rd last 24 for tee to green. He's inside of the top 25 of every other category that I have. The problem is that last 24 tee to green is an important statistic here. I understand that he came in 7th or 6th place last year. I'm going to play him myself, and I'm probably going to get burnt by him. But the big difference is he was 7th in my model last year. So there is a decrease that we've seen. I'm a risk taker. I might have played Akshay because I don't learn my lesson at the end of the day, and I continue to shoot for upside. But I think historically we've heard it from Tambo. We've heard it from Farnsworth. We've heard it from Rasa, and we've heard it from you. 4 people that are still left. Safety, safety, safety. And safety has taken you guys to the final 8 names here, and there's something to be said about that. So I really like the build. Really nothing I can say negative about it. Byron, you are going to have an opportunity, though, here to make your last selection. You have 6,600 left on the board.
Wait.
I don't know if you're going upside. I don't know if you want to go safety. Tell us what you're going to do.
Buddy, this guy I'm going with is definitely not safety.
Okay.
Sungjae Im. Give me Sungjae Im. Okay,
Nope.
that's what the system tells you. Okay, good. I was just curious to see if we could sneak something.
Are
in
you
there.
trying to trick me?
Well, I'm just curious. You never know what happens.
Wow. Wow. You know what? That might be a warning, a violation of the track. It might be,
You know what?
it might be a
I will
draft
take
violation.
as long as the violations don't carry over to when I make it to the next round. I'm fine with that.
It's a yellow card.
It's
Yeah.
in my sixth. It's in my sixth round. I can flip you the bird, Joel, in this situation, and still get away with it as I run off saying I'll take Harry Hall from Peaky Blinders. I think it's all 5 of my guys that I've drafted already are, in my opinion, they're all inside the top 11 or top 10 spots in my model. So they are all super safe options from the most part. And then Harry Hall just shows up. He is easily the guy that is the biggest discrepancy in price versus DK pricing in my model. I've got him 28 spots ahead of his DK price, which is the most in the field. It's all Bermuda. He's very good on Bermuda surfaces. He's a very good putter. And Harry Hall just had his first regular field PGA Tour top 5 since the 2023 Charles Schwab. But he's had 23 top 20s since. So he's had 23 top 20s in that 3-year period without a top 5. He just had it last week on Bermuda at the Wyndham. So at $6,400, I've got him highlighted blue for 20 to 50% exposure in my player pool this week. He's 5% owned. I'll probably be playing him in a third to a quarter of my lineups. I just think he's an option that can blow the slate apart. In a 70-man field like this right now, it's very difficult to find a difference maker from an ownership perspective. And I do think Harry Hall has that. It's obviously not the best option for this particular contest going head to head. But at $6,400, even if he finishes like 60th, whatever, I've got all the other guys that I wanted in a 5-man team over here. So if he can be the difference maker or he can be the anchor. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on Harry.
Well, what's interesting about Harry is, he, because of that hot putter, a hot round or two could really help his scoring, guaranteed 4 rounds. So even if he finishes 60, he might score better than some guys in the 50s or 40s because he might get a hot putter, get some good scoring, which could make a difference, especially when you're guaranteed 4 rounds. And that does make a difference. So playing in a GPP tournament or even a head-to-head, having everyone guaranteed 4 rounds is different than when you have to have a cut that you have to deal with. So it's an interesting take there. Certainly can understand the pick. The one thing, I think the one negative to Hall that I think about is, while he was great last week, it was against 2. I mean, this field is much different than he was up against last week. So, what was a top 5 last week, in this field probably would not have been a top 5.
$6,400, it is what it is. It's basically a min price option. Yeah. So we'll take it. See what happens.
Ooh, all right.
I love it. The guy looks awesome too. What a guy to root for with the hat, the mustache, just an absolute the dangly gold chain and the shirt halfway buttoned down. I mean, it's incredible.
He takes his hat off. He looks like Deadpool's older British brother. It's like he's just
He's an absolute unit.
He's
man.
just a nut, a ball sack on a body. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I think the point you made, though, that was most interesting about Hall was especially in a 70-man field, like finding leverage is hard. And a guy like Hall, who, you know, has the ability to be the hottest putter in the field at 6,400, if he's going to be 5% or lower owned, that's hard to find in this field with some upside. So I think from that angle as well, I think that makes a ton of sense. And the more guys you can find that have that, you know, upside, really low owned in a field like this, that's how you differentiate yourself and give yourself a chance in a big tournament.
It's the biggest differences for me are Harry Hall, then Matt McCarty, then Alex Noren, then Jacob Bridgman. So, you know, those are my 4 big value plays at the bottom of the board there. So 2 of them in the 7K range, but yeah.
A really interesting draft, very competitive. Spence, as always, I know you haven't run the numbers, but eyeballing you, which of the 2 look like the one your model would prefer?
I love you, Byron. I'm going to go with AK here. I'm just not as high on Harry Hall as you are. I think there's volatility to this. Like, with the way that I kind of like what you did at the end. If AK is going to go the safest of the safe routes, I do think you threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into this at the very end of some boomer bust option that has the chance at a very cheap price tag, as you talked about, to be able to put a result up on the board that can alter this contest entirely. And it doesn't allow AK to necessarily just walk in the park with some safe lineup to the finish. And that's what I tried to do. I don't keep going like, I hate talking about losing. You know, I hate losing more than anybody, Byron. And you're sitting next to the man that took me out here. I just think the safety route plays really well for these contests, and every single time I run numbers, that safety just keeps showing through with it. But 2 really good builds from top to bottom, and the thing I will say about Byron's lineup is Hideki, Cantlay, Henley, Fitzpatrick. Like, I mean, that sounds like the prototypical cash game that I was talking about at the start here of just 4 golfers, top 20 potential, hidden win equity that Byron's mentioned on some of these guys like Henley where they're too low in the market. These are 2 really good teams. It's not going to be by a large margin, but you know, Byron, your lineups, I've tweeted this and written about it every single time. I think during the first go through, you were minus 140 to advance in a 4-man, which is nearly impossible to get to. You were the only person that got that high. And then last week against Kenny, I think I had you at minus 185 to advance. So, like,
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Just a juggernaut right now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's put together some really big. I do think, AK, you're going to be the favorite on this one. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to see what Byron can do in the underdog role here. But yeah, that was one of the bigger numbers that we've seen so far.
Spencer, what would you have done with $6,600 in this situation?
I love that question.
I would have taken Bud Cauley. I think he's the best leverage on the entire board. I love him in all contest types, and that's one of the reasons why I like Farnsworth's lineup as much as I do. Yeah. Is I think he pairs well in any sort of a construction. I'm going to be massively overweight to him this week.
I have a quick question for you guys before we move off this draft. Just a question we haven't really gone over at all tonight, so I want to get your take. We'll start with you, Spencer. What do you project the winning score will be? How many strokes under par?
That is a good question. Byron is always more accurate with this answer. I know that this is something that he runs out heavily on it. I mean, if you look at last year, 16 under par, you get brand new green complexes that were super firm. I know it's going to be hot out here. I mean, you're probably looking at about the same total. Like, I'll say that it's marginally easier. I'll say it's 17 under maybe, which would be the highest number that we have theoretically seen other than the Hideki win. I'll say 17 under. I don't know if you have a different take than that, Byron.
I have this beautiful thing where I do the Sports Illustrated article and I'm the last person to always get my stuff submitted. So I get to see the 5 other names that have submitted what they think the winning score is going to be. And I always either go one way or the other. And this week I went above everybody as the highest one at minus 19. And I took a look at the weather. There's no wind for 4 straight days, unless I was looking at the wrong place. It's just breathless, man. TPC South when in Memphis is going to be baking. It's just going to be.
You can't have wind in your name and not have wind.
The wind is, Yeah, it's not even from the south. It's
Sam Burns is going to rip that place to shreds.
Yeah, this is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I think it's going to be a very, very scoreable conditions, and we've got the best in the field, doing their thing. So minus 19, send it, baby.
I think that's
AK,
probably
what
a
about you?
good call.
Yeah, we'll see.
What about you, AK?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the 18. I think it's going to be in the 17, 18 range. I really do.
Yeah.
Looking back at the history of the winning score, I think it averages like 16 under is what it is.
Yeah.
So the past 7 or 8 years. So
there you have it.
But-
You're going to need scoring. You're going to need birdies to get it done here. So find your guys that can score. Find your birdies. Find your low scores. They get 4 days to accumulate points. 2 absolute legends, AK and Byron. We appreciate y'all. One of you will advance to the Final Four. So we wish you both luck. Before we get you out of here, AK, please tell everyone, where can they find you this week, and what's your favorite bet of the week?
Tomorrow night, actually, we're gonna be we'll be on live. We'll be doing NFC East. We've been doing all kinds of football previews from the NFL divisions and college football conferences. We're basically going through each one and doing our version of a preview. So we do that Wednesday night and Sunday nights twice a week. And the podcast comes out Monday and Thursday. So if you like talking football, if you like talking golf, if you like talking ridiculous lists, then we are your guys to come and laugh it up with. As far as my best bet goes, I'm going to go Sam Burns, top 10, plus 168. This is what I did last week with I don't even think, who was it that I said that last week? Can't remember who that was. But no, it was 2 weeks ago, and it was Lucas Glover when I made the wildebeest reference. That was, holy cow, guys. What a disaster. He double bogeyed 18. I wouldn't have made the cut anyways, but I painted this beautiful picture of Lucas Glover glistening from his sweat, doused in perspiration, coming down the 18th, and you're like, that's our guy. And what does he do? Double bogey 18. Sam Burns, not going to happen this time. Top 10, plus 168 on DraftKings.
Cool. Byron, how about you? Where can everyone find you this week, and what's your favorite bet of the week?
Yeah. Shout out the Millie Goats. Great podcast. Also, very different content. If you're just tuning in to watch football stuff, it's not going to be anything like you've seen before. So if you want different content, go check them out. Awesome stuff from AK. Always piloting the ship there of a bunch of guys that he has to keep on the plan quite straight. Also, want to shout out every guest that's been on here. It's been awesome. I feel like this may be my last time, so I have to kind of say these things.
Stop it.
The quality of guests and the quality of hosts that have been on the show here have been fantastic. I've watched a lot of these shows, and every single cameo has been sensational. We have a fantastic golf/betting DFS space that we are a part of, so that will be said there. Then I will be going with a Hideki Matsuyama minus 120 top 20. Ties paid in full. Shout out Noto, who's making negative odds bets a real thing. That's a lot of golf handicappers and bettors in general don't like to bet golf bets that aren't plus money. I like, just eking into that minus 120. Would I have enjoyed it at plus 100? Absolutely. But Hideki, 3 top 20s at this event the last 3 times, and then 5 straight coming into this week. So he's really driving the ball much better now. I love the course history here, and you can get a Scotty Scheffler top 5 at plus 100 if you do like that kind of thing in reply to Noto's situation. I thought you were just cutting me off, Joel. I was like, wow. I know I'm going a little long here, but geez, buddy.
I love
I've been on the show enough to kind of let it say those things, yeah.
Hideki's the best, dude. He's playing some good golf.
Yeah.
So follow all these guys, man. What a great tournament this has been. If this is my last time. And Byron, man, I watch your, what is it, Tuesday night? I watch that show pretty much every week. It's phenomenal. So I love what you do with that stuff, man.
I love you too, man.
And we have been having some every couple of times every year we'll have you on and we'll yuck it up, man. It's a good time. So
let's go.
I appreciate
it. In terms of entertainment and getting value, 2 of the best follows that you gotta get between Byron and AK and the Millie Goats, unique content, winning plays. Give them a follow. It will go a long way. But also smash the like button. Give us a follow as well. We want to keep this going. We We have the Final Four next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. One of you will be there. One of you will not. I wish you guys luck, but don't let the trash talk stop on the way out. We will find you on Twitter. We will have our GIF-offs until there is a declared winner, and we advance to next week in the Final Four. A lot more golf to be played, a lot more drafting to be done. It's been a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys. I wish you guys luck. Spencer, are we forgetting anything?
No, I just want to double down on what Byron said. We have had on such great guests throughout this show, light and an opportunity, whether you are the biggest of a handicapper or tout or whatever we want to call ourselves at the end of the day, to somebody that maybe doesn't do golf full time or somebody that is trying to get their name in there. And we've seen it across the board from everybody has come on this show and done such a fantastic job articulating their thoughts and drafting lineups. And there's luck at the end of the day. This is not easy and it's really difficult. Like you see it every single week when I run projections for these. I mean, unless you're Byron, apparently, who's just minus $1 million in every single contest, most of these battles have been minus 110 one way or another. I mentioned this the week that I was on with AK. Like I'm using my model for these projections and AK was like 1% behind me in order to advance. And like, that just shows the quality of this space from top to bottom. And it's not easy to get to this final 8. And we're going to have 4 names that are going to advance to next week. And I think it will be on this network. I'm going to talk to Pat Mayo and we might have it on his network for anybody who's going to tune in. It's something that we're going to put together. I'm thinking like my whole thought of this from the beginning was, I appreciate, please like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already for this channel. But like, I want the finale finish. We throw it on Pat. He's the king of golf content. He's the very first person I ever saw in golf when I came into the space. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows his work. And for me, that would be a great conclusion. So if you see it on Pat's channel, it means that it's been agreed upon and we're going to move in that direction. But, like stardom and starlight for everybody in that Final Four. Like I want as many people to see these names and see everybody that we have. So thank you so much for... I think we have 500 something people tuning in right now on X. Thank you for everybody who's listening and watching and who has been able to let Joel and I do this on a weekly perspective. Also, thank you to LEVR, the sponsors of this show. LEVR is a company that I highly recommend you to check out. They are changing the landscape when it comes to betting. They do a fantastic job with everything that they put out. If you're not doing so already, contact me. I'm sure I can get you guys some sort of sign-up deals through them and we can figure it out. But thank you to LEVR. The winner will probably, we've never really given the amount and I don't want to necessarily say what it is because we're still trying to buy this belt, but it will probably be $1,500, give or take, is going to be the number for the winner. So Byron, AK, still in the running for that. Joel, you and I are not.
We were just like, oh, it's this serious. I wish I knew.
I'm putting it all on Corey Connors to win the FedExCup. Is what I'm going to do.
Hey, we wish you guys luck. There is a serious pot. So this is for real. Get your win, follow along, talk some trash, and good luck.
Thank you, guys.